Most people don't realize this, but a lot of the calories we eat are actually hidden. And even in our greatest attempts at eating healthy, we sometimes just don't know what we're eating wrong. Take this salad, for instance. It's lovely, delicious, loaded with vegetables, with grains, but it's made of 2.5 tablespoons of oil, vinegar, and spices. 2.5 tablespoons of oil, even olive oil, is about 35 grams of fat. Knowing that fats should take up to 25 to 35% of our daily caloric intake, say your daily calorie intake is supposed to be about 1,700 calories, then about 500 of those should be coming from fat. Do you know how many calories are in 2.5 tablespoons of oil? Just over 300 calories. So imagine about half your day's worth of fat could come from a salad without even knowing. That's why in today's video, I'm gonna be sharing 5 simple swaps that you can do in your day-to-day in order to make healthy eating simpler. First up, exchange your butter for olive oil. Here's an all too common example. When you make eggs or pancakes, putting butter on that pan first. What I like to do is using a non-stick pan, you can add the slightest amount of olive oil and your pancakes are good to go. Same thing for making eggs. For example, I like to cook eggs for a couple of people rather than just one person, so that even if you're using 2 tablespoons of olive oil, it's shared, it's split amongst a couple of people. For my favorite cooking material, I'll make sure to link them in the description below. Now, why switch up your butter for olive oil? Because butter is mostly made of unhealthy fats, that's saturated fats, the kinds that contribute to your cardiovascular disease, whereas olive oil is made of healthier fats and antioxidants. The next swap you should be making is exchanging at least 1 serving of red meat for ideally salmon or any other fish. Why should you make this switch? Because the unhealthy fats found in red meat contribute to our blood lipid level, that is the fat in our blood, in the wrong way. It's also a major contributor to cardiovascular diseases. More though, these red meats like veal, lamb, or processed meats like hot dogs or beef jerky can actually increase our cause of colorectal cancer. More red meat is also linked to more risk of strokes and type 2 diabetes. While I'm not saying you should cut out red meat completely for your diet, I am saying you should swap it for at least 1 serving of salmon per week, ideally. 1 to 2 servings of oily fish per week is suggested for most adults. While there's no recommended daily intake specific to red meat, many guidelines like the Canadian Cancer Society suggest limiting your red meat servings to 3 servings a week. The next dietary switch you should be making is switching your white bread for whole wheat bread. We know that white bread is made up of simple sugars, which is a dominant contributor to type 2 diabetes. So white bread provides a rapid increase in blood sugar, which gives us energy for a short amount of time, but it doesn't keep us full for very long. Instead, whole wheat bread or minimally processed bread has the major benefits of increasing fiber, reducing that spike in blood sugar, and less risk of type 2 diabetes. Side note, when I say high in fiber, that means the amount of fiber or dietary fiber on a nutrition label should ideally be a 1 to 10 ratio for the carbs. That means total carbs to fiber amount should be a 10 to 1 ratio. So if you have 20 grams of carbs in that thing you're eating, you should at least have 2 grams of fiber to say that it's adequate fiber. So the high fiber content in whole grain bread or whole wheat bread compared to white bread is exceedingly healthier. Let me tell you why. High fiber keeps you fuller for longer, reduces that blood sugar level, reduces the bad cholesterol in your blood, and helps keep you more regular in the bathroom. Yes, the main contributor to constipation is actually lack of fiber, and about 20% of the world's population suffers from constipation. Did you know that most Canadians are only getting about half the sufficient fiber intake? And what's recommended is in fact 25 grams for women and 38 grams per day for men. Next swap you need to make, which is similar to the explanation I gave earlier for why to switch butter for olive oil, is switching butter for applesauce in your baking. I know it might seem strange, but if you want proof, then download my delicious healthy muffin guide in the link below, where all my muffins are made with applesauce that keep it moist, just like oil or butter would. I've been making these muffins since deep in the pandemic days, and I have not stopped making them since. In fact, over 100 of you people, my community, have been making them every single day, actually make them regularly with their kids and their families every week. The #1 contributor to hypertension in the world is salt. So just consider changing your salt for something like herbs, yes, herbs, or even spices. I think salt is just this overused spice, and we've just numbed our taste buds to appreciate what real flavor actually is. Salt is dangerous because it can be addictive. Imagine you have a bowl or a bag of popcorn or chips in front of you. There's no knowing when you'll stop. So instead of stopping yourself, just substitute it for something better like herbs or spices. For popcorn, I even suggest trying nutritional yeast, which is sort of tangy, salty flavored powder. It's sort of cheesy and it's loaded with vitamin Bs. These alternatives are flavorful and much healthier for you. Salt directly impacts our blood pressure, and the recommended daily intake is less than 2,300 milligrams a day. And that's for healthy people. So for someone who's already known to have hypertension or cardiovascular disease, the recommended for them is less than 1,500 milligrams. Just for reference, 2,300 milligrams is 1 teaspoon of salt. I challenge you to measure where in your day you're consuming salt, whether it's added to your food or where it's inherently in there, like in red meat, just to have an idea of how much you're consuming a day. I know this seems daunting, but the more you know about what you're consuming, the more in control you are over your own health. You can't go wishing your blood pressure is gonna go down if you're not actually actively doing anything to bring it down. If you want more of a step-by-step guide on how to lose weight without actually counting calories, then you might want to check out this video. Remember, you are your greatest investment. So if you want more on how to live your best life possible, subscribe for more.